Thanks for joining us and welcome to HOA Leaders Video Chat. We're talking today with two of our experts, Joe Vlosik and Melissa Garcia. Joe is from Michigan, Melissa is from Colorado, and today we'll be talking about answering a reader's question about whether it's okay to use tools and online platforms to do association business. And our reader asked about Slack, but I'm going to give you a quick list of all of the possibilities that we'll be discussing today. Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Chat and Google Hangout, Zoom and its chat, Skype and its chat, Signal, Glip, Rocket Chat, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, WeChat, Snapchat, Telegram, Line, Discard, there's probably more. So anyway, so that's what we'll be talking about. So Joe, why don't you start us off? Would this be okay in Michigan for associations to conduct association business on these forums, types of forums?
Yeah, so in Michigan, a board can take an action without meeting under our Nonprofit Corporation Act, so long as all of the board members agree to do so. And they have to do what are called written consents of their consent to take action by, let's say, text message or email or something of that nature. Those consents have to be obtained either, interestingly enough, before or after the meeting and filed with the meeting minutes of the association.
Melissa, what about you in Colorado?
So Colorado is a little bit different. First of all, it completely defers to the bylaws. And so whatever is stated in your bylaws, you're actually able to follow, even if it says, it doesn't matter. I mean, if it says a majority of a quorum or all directors, whatever. So if your bylaws say something, follow the bylaws. If your bylaws don't say anything, then statute says that as long as a majority of the directors in office respond by a deadline, so we don't have that nuance that Joe has. And another requirement is no director can demand an in-person meeting within that deadline as well. So as long as a majority of the directors in office responds by the deadline and no one demands an in-person meeting by the deadline, then you're okay. And those records that lead up, so the email, the text, whatever leads up to that action outside of a meeting is open to inspection from members. And also the minutes themselves or the action of that action outside of meeting, the votes, they have to be kept permanently. So all of those things kind of go together. But it doesn't matter what you use, all that long list of options, as long as you follow those requirements.
Okay, so I think this is probably more complicated than it seems on its face. So, Joe, is there a tip that you can give our listeners about how not to run into trouble on this type of forum?
Sure. So one of the things I see is, especially during these times where boards, they communicate by text message, then they send an email on a different issue, then they use WeChat to communicate on some other issue, things of that nature. So one tip that we recommend to our clients is, if you're going to use some outside media communication to make decisions, stick to one. And that way you'll know in the future, okay, we know where we can find these records again.
Melissa?
Now, I absolutely 100% agree with that. I think in terms of my important tip, because of the complexity of keeping the records and everything that's required in our statute, I do understand the desire and tendency to use these easier and more collaborative methods. But at the end of the day, ultimately, you have to think of them as potential records of the association, whether they're records that are open to the members or records that could potentially be discoverable in a lawsuit. So remember that, and remember that you're going to have to comply with all the nuances and technical requirements, whether it's with your governing documents or the statute for those potential records. Don't just think that they're like a throwaway. They'll come back to haunt you. So.
Great. Thank you both. And listeners, thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll join us again in the future.